Slightly different style of video today here. I'm going to analyse the golf swing of Erling Haaland. As a lifelong Arsenal fan myself and PGA professional, the strategy here is really to hopefully provide you at home watching this video with some insights that may be able to transfer into improving your own golf game. But most importantly, seeing as Erling Haaland has quite a lengthy contract remaining at Man City, I would like to derail his concentration and put his focus more onto his golf rather than his football, and hopefully that might help my team Arsenal get a few more trophies across the line in the coming seasons. So here we have Erling Haaland warming up on the range before heading out to play around. Now, what I see here in the swing that I'm about to go through in detail for you here in this video is someone who's got a bit of a raw action right now. Their technique needs refinement, but he is in the early stages of his golf game development, and it would be quite unfair if the golfing gods have given him the same level of talent that he has on the football pitch. So no harm in him needing to start from the ground up. But here's where I would take things with Erling Haaland. It would certainly be revolved around dialing in the strike to start with. We can see this one here was a little bit of a hosel rocket. Now, tall guy, long levers. If we got things tidied up and sequenced correctly and a little bit more under control, we could start to see him absolutely smash the golf ball a country mile. Now, in terms of bringing in some reference models, because the contrast will allow you to see where things could trend relatively quickly. If you put the work in, there's no shortage of examples of Premier League footballers throughout the years who have been bit by the golf bug, have given it their all outside of their football commitments, and they've gotten down quite low with their handicaps, and you see their names regularly pop up in the celebrity pro-am events. So to help me with some reference positions during the swing that I'd like to see Erling get closer to hitting, I'm going to bring in for his sake, a fellow lefty. This is going to be a left-handed major champion. He actually plays, Erling Haaland, with a signed pink Bubba Watson driver, but this isn't going to be Bubba. So instead of Bubba Watson, we've gone one better in regards to a lefty with their major winners tally. I've got Phil Mickelson here playing his trade out on the Live Tour at the moment, and I've got him against Haaland here, which will help provide some excellent reference points of areas that he could rob from Phil's action, apply into his own, and certainly have a lot of success with, even in the early stage of making the swing upgrades. So there's a few elements in Phil Mickelson's technique that are a bit timing reliant, so it's not a case of you would need to copy the swing in its entirety, but I'm going to run through here the most important parts. So the first thing I would want Erling to notice here is the gap between his hands and his legs, because if we contrast that to Phil, this is going to have a big effect on what happens throughout the entire swing from this starting point. We can also see the posture is a little bit more drooped over. Fortunately, he won't get a green line for that. We're going to put that in the red. Contrast that to Phil. Again, he stands a little bit more taller at his address position. Now, if we highlight the head position of the pair, Jack Nicklaus always said and stressed the point that a steady head was the most important fundamental in the golf swing, in his opinion. And for someone who's got 18 majors under his belt, probably worth taking a little bit of heat from that. And that is certainly something that I would hold close to my own coaching philosophies in terms of a really core tenet. Now, if we look at the hand position here, the hands and the club in the golf swing are typically always going to want to try and work into the space in the golf swing. And quite clearly, we've not got much space here between the hands and the leg for Haaland. And if he just rotated during his backswing, we would literally see him clash his hands into his legs here. So to avoid that happening, you'll see that he breaks Jack Nicklaus's rule of a steady head as he stands up from this point. But he has to do that in order to give his hands somewhere to go in the backswing. So we see them get quite upright here, like so, as his head comes a long ways out of that circle. If we contrast that to Phil, he has built in some room for his hands to travel into in the takeaway, so that affords him then the opportunity to keep his head stable and have much more of a rotary motion to start the swing. Now, I'm not going to completely tear apart Erling Haaland's swing because there's actually some pieces that he does quite well. If we rewind him here a little bit, some reference points that I quite like that he's hitting is his hands are splitting through the mid to lower section of his bicep right here as we play Phil on. Some similarities here at this point. As we get them both to the top, we can see, as you get rid of that circle, we can see both players have their trail leg straightening as the lead flexes. This can be quite an important piece to help facilitate the turn of the hips and also of the torso. I do like the fact that Erling Haaland hasn't let his trail arm lose the run of itself. It's still very much in a relatively tidy spot right there. As you can see, it's not flaring away from the body for either of these players. Again, just going back to the steady head. Again, as we get to the top, we can see Erling is quite a ways out of that. But what you'll see from here on the way down, as someone who is a good athlete, even on a subconscious level, he will recognize that he needs to get back into position very quickly. And you'll actually see him try to do that, but not quite achieve it. If we take him back a split second longer here, I think it is also worth commenting on the fact that we can see a little bit, if I highlight this in red, we can see that his club head is visible here. Now, Phil Mickelson is certainly not someone who's known as having a short backswing throughout his career. So if you're longer than Phil with your backswing, it is definitely time for us to start to rein that in. But as I was saying, into the downswing, Erling is trying to get back into position, doesn't quite do it from that out of position spot at the top. We look at Phil, stays steady with that head and maintains his head in that circle well into the follow through here. And we can see the contrast become a little bit more visible here. The spine angle for Phil, a little bit more side bend, like so. We can see that does look quite uncomfortable with the spine angle of Haaland right about here. If we play them back just a fraction, post impact, a trait of a lot of elite level ball strikers is that just post impact, we will see them, if I try and get these frames correct. Haaland's video was full speed versus Phil's was slow motion. So apologies if we can't get these exactly frame for frame, but good enough to still see the contrast. For a lot of elite ball strikers, we can see at this point, just post impact, they hide the grip, but we can still see the club head for Phil. For Haaland, not only can we not see the club head, but we can actually barely see his arm at all. So things are working in a very swipey fashion across the golf ball as we play things on from here. All in all, I would look at it and say it's an action where, for someone who I would imagine is prioritizing his football ahead of his golf, and hopefully, as I said from the start of the video, as an Arsenal fan myself, I wouldn't mind seeing that change. Hopefully we can get him entering his Gareth Bale era where it becomes a list of priorities of Norway, golf, and then Manchester City with a bit of luck. But hopefully this video helps inspire Erling to get out onto the golf course a little bit more and start focusing on applying some really important upgrades to his golf swing. I think it will certainly be a positive for his own golf game and a positive influence on the amount of fans that he has that look up to him, and hopefully he can put some new eyeballs on the sport of golf that otherwise wouldn't have been paying attention to our sport. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure to whack the thumbs up and the subscribe button. It really helps with the growth of the channel and ensures that you'll never miss out on any future uploads, of which there are plenty lined up in store for you very shortly. If you enjoyed my style of instruction here on Haaland's swing, you can receive the same process on your own swing with even more added benefits. If you'd like to connect with me for online coaching, regardless of where you are in the world, we can do so through the online coaching platform that I use called Skillist. I'll have not just an analysis of your swing, but corrective drills prescribed to suit exactly your needs. And you will also, through the Skillest app, have access to consistent communication channels to be asking questions as frequently as you need to ensure that you're staying on track. Essentially, online coaching is like having a golf coach in your pocket 24/7. So if you're serious about taking your golf game to that next level, this is an opportunity not to be missed. I will leave as I say, the link down below underneath the description of the video for you to access Skillest, or you can head directly to my own website, seanmarksgolf.com, and you will see all the access tools you need to get started with the online coaching journey and exactly what it entails.